Hearing River voice almost exactly what he'd been thinking should have surprised him, but it didn't. More and more, they seemed to be able to read each other's thoughts. It was comforting, if not a little disconcerting sometimes. "I want to ask my dad to come in here," Tony said. "We have to tell him about the card. Even though I truly believe we're all safe, you're right. He needs to know." River nodded and took a sip of her coffee before saying, "I was thinking, the Strangler's protege is so narcissistic that I don't think he'd want to hurt me here. This is the snowman's territory. He wouldn't want to share the glory with someone else. He already stopped someone else from killing me. He wants the credit." Tony stared at her for a moment before saying, "I was just thinking the very same thing. I really wish you'd stop reading my mind. We know it can't be completely trusted." Even though the situation wasn't funny, River smiled. "I trust your mind." She took another sip of coffee, then said, "Have your parents asked about your symptoms?" "The aphasia?" He shook his head. "No, and I haven't brought it up. It's gotten so much better. I rarely forget things now." He cocked his head to the side. "I'm sorry, what was your name again?" This time River laughed. "You really are a pill, you know that? You're the only person in the world who could actually make me laugh right now." Tony sighed loudly. "It's my burden to bear in life, keeping you entertained." He smiled at her. "Let's finish these cookies, and then I'll ask my dad to step in." He looked up at the clock on the wall. "We only have a couple of hours before supper. Why don't we put a pin in this after we talk to my father and I call Arnie? It will give us time to rest and unwind a bit." "I'd like that. Tomorrow we can start early." She sighed. "Sure is convenient to have the chief of police in St. Louis as a friend. We've certainly given Arnie a workout lately. I hope he doesn't get impatient with us." She glanced toward the window, and he followed her gaze. The lights from outside the house made the snowflakes sparkle as they waltzed to music only they could hear. It would have been beautiful if it weren't for the concern that the snowman could strike tonight. Of course, just because it had been 2 years since the last murders, that didn't mean it would happen again this winter. Maybe he was letting his fear and his father's paranoia get the best of him. "It will be all right," he said softly. "Don't worry." It's hard not to. I usually love snow, but tonight... I know. Tony ate 2 of the cookies and then took his cell phone out of his pocket. A few minutes later, his father knocked on the office door. This wasn't a conversation he looked forward to having.